Dead meme.
So, you finally made it to the swamp. This place is very foreboding. But lucky for you, we're going to do a biome overview, we're going to talk about the monsters, the items, and the boss video will come eventually. But let's jump into it. Alright, so in the beginning, when you first arrive in the swamp, you should have the key that you received from defeating the Elder. I strongly recommend bringing these poison resist potions. There's so many poisonous enemies that it is probably the thing that's most likely to kill you. There is a new crafting station, the stone cutter. It has no additional little add-ons to it, such as like the forge and whatnot has. But here's an example of what you can build using the stone cutter. The stone cutter does have one item you can craft on it, so if you need to make that sharpening wheel for your forge upgrade, that's how you would do that. But you get the more advanced fire pit here. It's a little bit bigger, it's nicer, provides comfort. Stone structures, much more durable than the wooden ones. As you can see, you can build like these big straight walls, or you can kind of tile it and make a nice little brick out of it. As well too, there are two new armors, a very highly protective iron set, more physical related damage, and this is the root set. You'll get this from killing the mini boss that sometimes spawns in there, and basically this provides a great deal more poison protection. So this one is fine as long as you carry some poison potions. So like, I don't think this is necessary, but it would be helpful for fighting the boss. Now, you're likely going to have to travel a great distance to get to the swamp. So as you can see, we have a few portals set up here. You can make these in the Bronze Age, like in the Elder stage, but I just don't see the likelihood of it being overly viable. Very frequently, your swamp biome will be on another island, and taking the boat all the time will not be super great. So to use this, you need to set a tag here. See, that tag is tag, and then you go to the other side, and there is no range distance. In that animation, you know it's functioning properly. But spawn copper. Notice how it turned off. So this is something to keep in mind. Certain items, ores, many ores, I think all of them, ingots of all types will allow you, or will prevent you from teleporting. So you'll need to take the ship to return home. But luckily, we have a new ship to talk about. The resources that you find in the swamp biome will allow you to build the long ship. Its maneuverability is a little bit less, but it's really fast. And once you get the hang of it, you'll have very little trouble getting in some narrow spaces. And it comes with built-in storage. Lots of places to store your friends, so if it's harder for them to fall off the boat. I did an entire video on boats. If you want to see that, maybe I'll just drop the link. So, let's talk about fire. As you can see, I've built a few fire pits here. They're not functioning because it seems to pretty much always be raining in the swamp. But the bonfire will allow you to get the fire buff that while you're outside. You'll not be able to collect rested though while it's raining. You'll need to build some sort of shelter above yourself. So your outposts may be more complicated, and the bonfire might be your answer to get a campfire going. Some notable structures within the swamp are little areas like this. There's like little treasures, but they're guarded by various types of spawners. And it's not uncommon to see, get a multi-star enemy, especially these Draugr. But we're going to get into the enemies very shortly. The other notable structure that you're going to need a key to open, that we left on the table there, this is the dungeons of this biome. So just like the crypts, it spawns a little dungeon underneath, and you can go explore it. It's sort of instanced off. So when there's meadow biomes near a swamp, you typically get what is referred to as a Draugr village. And I've cleared out a lot of it, but there's a lot of spawners in these buildings. And there's not that much special going on here. Like, you may be able to find some bees or whatnot, but these are just some generic structures. Yeah, here's some spawners. So let's talk about the Draugr. These guys are primarily melee enemies, but they do have archer versions. There's an elite Draugr as well. I'll see if I can find one for you. There we go. Draugr Elite. Significantly more dangerous. Have a good shield. Skeletons, you've encountered them before. Not overly durable. Easily defeated. But the thing that's really scary about the swamp is what lives in the water. Here we are. Leech. They are not super deadly. Their damage is rather low, but they're poisonous, and the damage over time is likely what's going to get you. So, one way you can easily deal with them is you can make it much more difficult for them to get to you. Now, they can go over, as you can see, but at least you know where they are, and you can run instead of getting stuck trying to swim away from an aquatic creature, which is clearly a bad strategy. Here's the blob. They are very obnoxious. Let's turn ghost mode off so you can see. They basically shoot a huge cloud of poison, and it's rather ridiculous how damaging poison is. Like, I can't stress this enough. If you are here without a poison resist potion, you are going to die. So don't say I didn't warn you. Surtlings. Now these guys, they look intimidating, but they're not all that dangerous. They're actually relatively easy to kill. Their fire dot is not all that bad, but if they touch water, they take damage. So, you can actually set up a farm for these guys by taking your pickaxe out and mining it down to the water level, because they're spawning next to this geyser. So when you see this geyser, there's probably surtlings nearby, and you can just create a little farm for them. Here we are. This is like the little mini boss of the region. So he looks intimidating, but he's not really that bad. I've got God mode on, so he's not really going to hurt me, but if you got the iron shield, you'll be able to do some parry attacks. So you'll be able to parry and do the knockback and do like the standard. You can probably get a 2-hit combo in safely. But I'll do a video on when I fight the boss here. I'll do a video on fighting him as well. So this enemy has a notable drop. He is required in order to make the root armor. You'll need to kill him to get some of his components to make the root armor. The other notable drops come from the Draugr. You get the intestines so that you can make sausages, which is a pretty decent food. Alright, and you'll notice these gnarled trees here. If you cut them down, this one's labeled an ancient tree, you'll be able to get some ancient bark from it. So, not overly exciting, but it is a notable resource to create some of the materials and items for this dungeon, not this dungeon, this biome, which is the Longship. Another very important resource that you're going to be looking for while you're here are turnip seeds. It's a yellow flower. For the most part, they're not super common, but I feel you should find at least one per relatively large size of swamp. And this is basically required to make a whole bunch of extra food. So as long as you've got the key in your inventory somewhere, you'll be able to open this gate. It's reusable. Do not concern yourself. You do not need to fight the Elder again. These sunken crypts are rather dangerous. I do recommend throwing down a campfire in them, like I showed you guys in the Darkwood, getting a rested state. You'll probably be wet, pretty common in here, but you'll at least be able to acquire a rested state to make running around in here easier. And as you can see, the space in here is rather confined. So, treasures you might find, like currency-related treasures, gold, amber. There are treasure boxes with some useful tools and items. This sort of thing will get you the wet debuff, which really sucks. But what we're really here for, or why you're bothering to come down here at all, are mostly these muddy scrap piles. So this is where you're going to get iron from. You will not be able to mine this with an antler pick. You will at least require a bronze pick. And I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I'm sure you can figure out that you can make an iron sword now, an iron shield, and so on and so on. Whatever weapon that you enjoy or choose to use. Other things to keep a lookout for in this place are the boss stones to let you know where the bone or the bone mass spawns, or the biomass. I think it's bone mass actually. So you're probably going to need to build an outpost here, at least a limited one near the swamp, to repair these pickaxes. They're made from metal. It will require a forge, which will require copper. The other notable treasure that you'll find inside of these crypts are these withered bones. They're rather large. There's a few crafting recipes with them. I wouldn't be too concerned with that, but you need a few of them in order to summon the boss. I believe it's 10, but just keep that in mind if you see him. I mentioned that you should probably build an outpost here. So some things to keep in mind: there is water everywhere, and there are jerks living in it. But as you can see, there's these very tall trees, and they are not destroyable. You cannot get rid of these. So you can actually build your way up these guys. Of course, you'll need a workstation in order to do this, but they will be perfect in structure the whole way up. It'll count as a foundation. So you'll be able to build a little bit out, of course, and if you really needed to, you could build a platform down, but it'll be vulnerable to attack. So something to keep in mind: one of your options if you want to build an outpost in the swamp, this is definitely available to you. You can get quite a ways off this guy, as you can see before I'm hitting red. So I don't like to work in these two levels. This is pretty much where I like to call it. But, you know, I'm not going to tell you how to play. The other option, too, is to maybe make a base just slightly outside the dangerous or offending biome. Like, maybe in a transition area like this. Or you could steal the Stronger village. Alright, so I believe that's the overview of the biome. A boss preparation video will be coming eventually. I got a full-time job now, so I won't be able to make these as quick as I used to. But thanks for those who do show up. It's really cool to know that the videos are helping someone, or that they're being enjoyed. But I just want to briefly summarize. Bring poison resistance potions. You will need these or you will die. And you can also make an upgraded chest once you get home with all your iron. Speaking of iron, while carrying the scrap iron, you will not be able to teleport. So we'll throw away the copper. Cannot teleport. Don't forget to prepare a teleporter network. See the bone mass here. This will allow us to get back and forth to this boss. So when I'm prepped and ready to go, I can get ready to summon. If you do find this thing, if you touch it here, they look mark it on your map, or you can personally mark it on your map as well. There's important produce here, such as the turnips and the thistles. This will give you some more advanced food and will improve your chance of survival here. You could set up a little a circling farm here, like I've done there. If they touch that water, they start taking some damage, and they'll die. And then you can set up almost like an AFK farm. While in the crypts, don't forget, you can throw down a fire to get rid of the wet debuff, and as well acquire some rested state. The Draugr are in here with their spawners. There are treasures. There's a boss stone. And basically the mighty scrap piles are why you're here. Various treasures exist, such as rubies, which you can acquire. But this place is pretty hazardous, so be careful. Alright, and with all that said and done, if you found the video useful or you liked it, a like and a sub would be pretty decent of you. If there's something on here that should be covered that was missed, just throw it in there. If it's a really good one, we'll pin it to the top and make the community better for everyone. And thanks for showing up. Talk to you again real soon.